Welcome to the Outthinker Blogcast. My name is Kaihan Krippendorff. This is the blogcast dedicated to helping you outthink your competition. This week I'm reporting from Brisbane, Australia. I'm at a park that is in front of a really beautiful area by the lake. It really feels to me sort of like a small Miami on the other side of the world. This week I want to talk about the idea of business as a video game. The reason that came to mind is because the last time I was here in Australia, which was about 4 years ago, I started writing a book, which I haven't finished and I probably will never finish. It's going to be a non-fiction book that takes place in the future, and in this future my idea was that business is a video game. That just like an options trader could set up a position that simulates the payoff of owning a gold mine, hold that position for a few hours and then dismantle it, literally go into the gold mining business for 30 minutes. What if you could do that with other products? What if you do that with shoes or with strollers? I think that we're starting to move into that future where business is a virtual game. And if we look around, we see entrepreneurs that are solving the pieces of the puzzle that are making that vision a possibility. For example, there are two companies I got to interview or speak to last week. One is called Autodesk and one is called Acquire. Let me talk about each of those separately. Autodesk is a 30 or 40-year-old company. They make a software called AutoCAD, excuse me. AutoCAD is a program used by engineers and architects to describe 3D environments. When I was an engineering student in 1990, 1991, I used Autodesk to design these 3D structures. But Autodesk has come miles since then. They're the dominant player in their field, and now they're expanding into new fields. For example, they created a new program called Maya, which allows filmmakers to animate movies. And do you know they've been so successful in converting their core product to film animation that for the last 10 years, every movie that's been nominated for an Oscar in film animation has used Autodesk's Maya software. Autodesk is now used for all kinds of other applications, from artists to guitar makers to packaged good makers, designing these kinds of objects that you just couldn't do if you had to do the design the way we used to do it, which was through physical modeling. I was in the museum at the headquarters last week, and they have some printers, 3D printers. You may have heard about these. If you haven't heard about them, maybe Google them and take a look at them. Very interesting. But what you can do is you could send a printer a 3D rendering of an object that you've designed, and it will print a 3D object. So you design a vase, let's say, that has some strange twists to it, and it will print it in layers and fuse it together, and what comes out is an actual 3D vase. Really amazing. Now, what you start seeing is you start looking at what the future that Autodesk is building towards is a future in which anyone can create a 3D object. And by the way, Autodesk has an iPhone app now which allows even novices to just, with a few moves of their finger, start designing 3D objects. So they made it that easy. Imagine anyone being able to do that and then hit print and then print an object and produce whatever product they want. That is a really exciting part of the puzzle. Now let's say you do that. So you create a product, you market it, you start selling it, you finance it. Now you start building an organization, you want to manage your organization. What if you could do that virtually? Well, another company, much smaller company, I think it's about $10 million in revenue, called Acquire, they are starting to help us solve that part of the problem. They were started in 1994 by Lewis Melbourne and her husband, and what they helped companies solve was a very simple problem, which was building org charts. You know, those little squares with the little lines that connect each other to and tell you who reports to whom. Now, if you went to business school or if you've ever written a business plan, you probably figure, hey, that's the most basic thing. Probably every company has organizational charts, but not true. Most companies, and even well-run companies, have org charts that are outdated because someone moves or gets promoted or gets demoted or changes the reporting structure, and they don't necessarily go back and update their official org charts. What Acquire did was create a program called Org Publisher, which helps people do that and collaboratively do that automatically. Now, that's just the beginning. First step. Now what Acquire does is plug that program into other sources of data into your company. For example, your salary levels, your bonuses, performance reviews, the training that your people have gone through. And what this allows you to do is start managing your organization like a video game. I think of it as sort of like putting together a fantasy football game or playing Dungeons and Dragons. Just as an example, consider this. A friend of mine, he is the regional manager of a big consumer products company, and he has to cut 15% of his workforce, or at least of the spend of his workforce. What he could do if his company used Acquire software would be open up his org chart and click through to Northern Europe, to UK, to this marketing department of that brand, and he can review people's performance, salary, productivity, bonuses, training, and what their career history has been, and he can make very quick, educated decisions about who should go and who shouldn't go, and he could start designing the organization virtually, again, like you're playing fantasy football or Dungeons & Dragons. Those are just two pieces of a bigger puzzle, really compelling pieces, but if we start putting this together with, say, Alibaba, which allows you to just find a manufacturer for any product that you want, or Skype, which allows you to easily communicate with other people, as those solutions start advancing, we start moving toward this idea of vision of business as a video game. And when we get there, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't be here in this beautiful space. Maybe I'd be at home managing my business and managing my clients from the comfort of my home. This is Kaihan Krippendorff. This is the Outthinker Blogcast, the blogcast dedicated to helping you outthink your competition. Hopefully that was useful for you. I look forward to talking to you next week.